So, with regard to neural disorders, neural means neuron. So, anything that affects our nervous system or main part of the nervous system, which is the brain. Then spinal cord is also part of our nervous system. So those diseases which are affecting our brain, spinal cord or our periphery neurons are coming under the neural disorders. Now here we have two main diseases. One is Parkinson disease and other is Alzheimer's disorder. Both are very debilitating. Debilitating means it usually affects old age people that will weaken their health a lot. And such diseases are called debilitating. A healthy person gradually becomes very weak, very much fragile, then he cannot do anything by his or her own effort. Such diseases are debilitating, completely destroying the health of a person. So Parkinson disease is a progressive nervous system disorder. Progressive nervous system disorder means that will be slowly developing. In the beginning there will not be much problem, but as the disease is progressing, after every year disease become more and more severe. So in a span of 5 to 10 years usually the person will die. So it's a progressive nervous system disorder that is affecting your movement. So it is affecting the movement of your different organs, your ability to walk, ability to move hands, ability to write, ability to speak. All kinds of bodily movements will be slowly affected. Symptoms are starting very gradually, sometimes starting with a barely noticeable tremor. Tremor means shaking of your hands. So that is the first sign of this Parkinson disease. So it usually begins with the tremoring, the shaking of your hands or shaking of your body or shaking of your legs. So that is the first and the most important sign of a Parkinson disorder. And early in the disease, the most obvious are shaking, rigidity and slowness in movement. Here you can see that the person may be walking very, very slowly. And that kind of movement is known by the name bradykinesia. Brady means slow, kinesia means movement. So the person will be a very fast walking person or a person who is walking in the normal speed will start to walk at a very slow speed. It is known as a bradykinesia. Then muscles will be very rigid. The flexibility of your muscle will gradually decrease. So muscles become more rigid, and you can see that the posture of the person may be slightly leaning forward, and his legs, you can see there is a bending. So all these will be affecting the person. Here also you can see slightly forward sloping will be there. So that kind of impaired or wrong posture will be there, and that will be also affecting the movement. Then loss of automatic movements. For example, when somebody is touching you, you may immediately respond. It's an automatic reflex. And such automatic responses will be gradually decreasing. Then changes in the speech, because the speech is actually controlled by the movement of our tongue as well as the movement of your pharynx. So when there is some problem in these two areas, the speech can be affected. So that is one problem. So there will be changes in the speech, and your writing, you may not be able to write properly because all the time these hands and legs are shaking like this. So because of this shaking, you may not be able to write properly. So these are some of the most common and most important problems which are present in a person with Parkinson disease. Then there will be difficulty in walking. The thinking and behavioral problems may also occur. So as the disease is progressing, the more and more complications are happening, and it will be affecting the way you are thinking. The person may get more depressed and more lonely. So more and more behavioral problems will gradually start. Then dementia becomes common in advanced stage of disease. What is dementia? Loss of memory. So if you are not able to remember things which had happened in either recent past or in a very old time, and that situation is known by the name dementia, then there will be depression and also anxiety. Depression is that when a person who used to do all the work by himself or herself suddenly find himself or herself in a situation that for everything he or she needs to depend someone in the house, that will be affecting their ego, that will be affecting their mental health, and the person may experience depression. That is another problem. And anxiety will be there, occurring in a more than third of the people with the Parkinson's disease, that is PD. So nearly one third of the people affected with the Parkinson's disease usually exhibit some kind of mental anxiety or depression. Then other symptoms are also there. There are problems with your sensory responses. Your sleep will be affected. Your emotional balance will be affected. So all these will be affecting the relationship of the person with your family and with your neighbors and friends, etc. So that is a problem with the Parkinson's disease. Even though it is starting with a problem of movement, that will be gradually affecting your brain, your thinking, then in your mind, and finally the person may feel that I am not good for anything. So such a kind of feeling will gradually develop in such a person. Here you can see that the stooped posture, the forward tilt of the trunk, that is a common, then reduced arm swinging, then when we are moving or when we are walking, our hands will be moving a little bit. That is our normal response. So that will be reduced. The rigidity, at the back of the body will be more rigid. The flexibility, the fastness with which you can be coming back to some post, that all will be reduced. Then flexed elbow, the elbow will be always like this. So that is another problem. Then slightly flexed hips. Here you can see that here you can see the flexed hips. This is a problem. Then so all these kind of problem. Here also short stepped gait. Gait means walking. So how is the mode of walking is done by the gait. So the person may be taking very small steps instead of taking very big steps. They will be very small steps. Then the trembling of extremities. Extremity means our leg and our hands. These are the ends of your body. The ends of your body will be trembling. Trembling means shaking or shivering. So that is also another problem of Parkinson's disorder. So the cause of Parkinson's disease is generally unknown. Nobody knows why this problem is affecting many people. But as of now, we don't have an understanding why Parkinson's disease is developing. But it is believed that some kind of genes are involved. So some genetic reasons may be there. So if there is a family background of Parkinson's disease, there is every possibility that the other members or the grandchildren can also have this kind of problem. Those with a family member affected are more likely to get disease themselves. So family history is playing an important role. And there is also an increased risk in people exposed to certain pesticides and those who had prior head injuries. For example, those people, for example, if you had any kind of injury to your head, either due to any accident or due to some other reason, that increase your chance of developing Parkinson's disease. And there is some observation are also saying that in tobacco smokers and those who are drinking coffee and tea, there is a reduction in the chance of Parkinson's disease. But this kind of research data are there. We are not sure to how accurate or how dependable that data is. Then other features are the motor symptoms of the disease result from the death of cells in substantia nigra. That is, your brain will be divided into three major regions: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. And in the midbrain there is a major area called substantia nigra. And some of the cells in this part of the brain called substantia nigra will be dying. So it is maybe due to the early death of cells in this part of the midbrain could be one reason for the development of Parkinson disease. And this result in not enough dopamine in this area. So in the last class we have studied about the importance of dopamine. Dopamine is known as a pleasure neurotransmitter. So if you don't have enough amount of dopamine secreted by your body, you may feel depressed, you may not feel happy. So even though it is a chemical, if that chemical is not present in sufficient quantity, it will be affecting your happiness. The reason for cell death is poorly. We don't have a data why cells in this part of midbrain is dying. We don't have any data, but it involves build-up of protein bodies called Lewy bodies in the neuron. Because what we have observed by scanning and other imaging techniques is that when we observe through CT scan or MRI scan, we can observe the neurons there. And doctors have found that inside the cell bodies of these neurons, there is an increased amount of certain protein structures. And these protein structures are known by the name Lewy bodies. So presence of Lewy bodies at an increased level is a sign that the person is having Parkinson disorder. So this is why a clinical way of confirming the disease. So it is known as a Lewy bodies. So diagnosis of typical cases is mainly based on symptoms, with tests such as neuroimaging is usually used to rule out. So basically the primary diagnosis of Parkinson disorder is based on these symptoms. And if these symptoms are also combined with the presence of Lewy bodies during an MRI or CT scan, doctors can 100% confirm that the person is having Parkinson disorder. So that is the problem with the Parkinson disease. Now we also have another similar disease known by the name Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease, sometimes known as AD, is also a chronic neurodegenerative. Chronic means taking a long time. Degenerative means slowly destroying. So it is a disease that is slowly affecting the person, slowly destroying the neurons and brain cells in your body, and that usually starts and worsens over a time. Here you can see that here also the person may be dying after a period of 5 to 10 years. Then it is the cause of 60 to 70% of dementia. Dementia means loss of memory. So normally when a person is getting older, there will be slight decrease in memory. That is a common thing. But if that loss of memory is to a severe level, then it is known as dementia. And one major reason for dementia is Alzheimer's disorder. The most common early symptom is difficulty in remembering recent events. For example, when somebody came to your house in the morning and after 1 hour, if some old grandparent or grandfather or mother is asking who had came in your house, that kind of loss of memory of forgetting very recent events is known by the name loss of short-term memory loss. At the same time, that grandparents may be telling you about events that took place maybe 50 or 60 years back. Such events may be very strongly present, imprinted in the brain, and they are known as long-term memory. So events which have took place at a very older time are known as long-term memory. Recent events are coming under short-term memory. And dementia is primarily affecting your short-term memory, your ability to remember things in the very recent past, today or tomorrow or yesterday what happened, you are not able to recollect. As the disease advances, the symptoms can include problems with the language. Language means the person may be speaking quite normally. He or she is unable to speak or communicate effectively. So that is a problem with the language. Disorientation. Disorientation means I always remember that near there is one neighbor in my house, in my area, and there is one his father is having this problem, and they will be always locking the gate with the lock, because what happens is that if the father is going out, he may not be able to come back to the house. So that is the problem of this disorientation. Now we can improve, because if we have GPS tags or GPS wristwatch is there, we will be able to easily find out. So that possibility is right now, it is possible, but a few years back it may not be easy to find a missing person if there is no. So that is the problem. Mood swings. Suddenly person may get angry, or suddenly may be happy or lonely. So these are all mood swings. Loss of motivation, that he or she may not be doing anything. That situation is known as not managing self-care, like brushing your teeth, eating at the right time, taking bath, or doing other normal things. So these are not the part of this. If a person is not taking care of that, that is coming under the not managing. Then behavioral issue. Behavioral issue, fighting with everyone, arguing with everyone, or getting irritated. All these are coming of behavioral issue. As a person's condition declines, they often withdraw from family. For example, if you have a parent, a grandparent like that, after some time, usually what happens is that you may stopping with them. That also affect, and slowly the person may start not talking with anyone, mostly spending the time in her or his own room. So this kind of family withdrawal and social withdrawal will be taking place. Gradually bodily functions are lost. Ultimate bodily functions are lost means the person may not be able to breathe, or his blood circulation is not working, heart may stop. So that is the bodily functions are lost, and that will be leading to the death. Although speed of progression can vary, the typical life expectancy is 3 to 9 years. So once your Alzheimer's disease is confirmed, many people, maybe some people may be living only 3 years, some may live 9 years, some may live more than that. So that depends on the health and the way the person is responding. And here you can see that some of the common, if the memory loss is a problem, already we have changes in mood, misplacing belongings. For example, you are taking a specs and keeping it somewhere and searching it for that spectacles after some time, or forgetting where you have placed your mobile, or small things. So these are misplacing belonging. Hard to complete a familiar task, for example writing or speaking or eating. So it takes too much time, then it is known as it is coming into this category. Confusion of time and place. For example, you are leaving the house and you are not able to come. In which way I have to go back to my house? Then social withdrawal. As I told you, withdraw from the family members and also from the neighbors and other social members. Struggling to communicate. Difficulty in processing your language. Difficulty in talking. Then poor judgment. That is another problem. Then not able to see properly. That also is a problem of Alzheimer's disease. So in the case of Alzheimer's disease, its cause is not properly understood. Nobody knows why this kind of problem developed. As in the case of Parkinson's disease, something happening in the brain is creating this problem. But as of now, we do not know why it is happening. About 70% of risk is believed to be genetic, with the genes are primarily involved. So because we are not finding any obvious reason, so doctors believe that something that is present in the gene may be the reason. As then other factors like head injury, depression, then high blood pressure can also be possible reason. The disease process is associated with the protein plaques and tangles. Tangles mean deaths. Earlier I told you in the case of Parkinson disease, the part of brain called substantia nigra. It will be containing dead cells called dead cells containing protein structures called Lewy body. A kind of similar thing is also present here. Here also brain cells will be start developing more and more protein structures, and also presence of dead cells in certain part of the brain. A probable diagnosis is based on the history of illness and cognitive testing with the medical imaging and blood test to rule out the other. So basically, this Alzheimer's disease is diagnosed by talking with the person, talking with the family members, and also through an MRI scan or a brain imaging. And initial symptoms are often mistaken for a normal. Even in a normal aging, certain kinds of problems are there. In some people, they even after, for example, last day when I was watching yesterday, there is a woman who is 104 years. She has gone in a plane and she is doing some kind of gliding. At that age, some people are doing that, but it depends on the person's thinking, the way the person thinks. So maybe some people after 70 or 75 may think that I am not good for anything. So such different kinds of experience are there. Examination of brain tissue is needed for definite diagnosis, because the purpose of examination of brain cells is that to find out if there are any protein plaques or dead cells are present. Mental and physical exercise, then avoiding obesity can decrease the risk of AD. So these are that is mental and physical exercise, mental exercise means anything that keeps you stable, anything that keeps you happy, anything that keeps you relaxed are all coming under mental exercise. So nowadays it is important that we have to take care of your body and also your mind. So there are a lot of things, lot of like gyms, and if you go there, your body may fit. But in order to keep your mind fit, you also need some kind of exercise. If you have the habit of always fighting with your family members, your friends, relatives, that will be ultimately affecting your mind. So some kind of mental activity should be done to keep you happy. That is coming under mental exercise. Then not eating too much, avoiding obesity. Then evidence to support this recommendation, because not even though some of all research will be bringing some kind of data, but we cannot depend or completely trust all the research. Sometimes because of some wrong methodology, some improper. Yesterday when I was watching TV, there was a news from China. Drinking milk tea can cause early aging or something. How can we believe that? They are promoting that drinking milk tea with the milk can promote early aging or some other problem. So the Chinese government may have some other intention. So they are also publishing this in the form of research. So all research you should not blindly trust. Researchers can also commit a lot of blunders, lot of mistakes. Sometimes even deliberately some some mistakes may be published as a good research. So there are no medication or supplements that have shown to decrease the risk. So these are some of the problems associated with Alzheimer's disease. It is a major problem. Then there are some societies called Alzheimer's Society of India and Alzheimer's Society in Kochi or in Kerala also. These kind of societies are there. They are also doing some kind of supporting work. So the important thing is that to a good extent these kind of diseases can be reduced or prevented if we are doing proper exercise, and if we are also doing if you are reducing obesity. Your health is an important condition. The overall health of the person is healthy, the chance of developing both this Parkinson disease as well as Alzheimer's disease gradually is very much can be decreased. So this is an idea regarding these two major disorders. We have some more topics which we will discuss in our next class.